Duh. Hello. Welcome back to my live. I just want to make sure that everybody can get into this live, and I hope that it's open to the right people and wide open. I think that it may be comments for my subscribers, but I'm not really sure. I don't know how to work this thing super great yet, but I'm super glad that it will let me go on with y'all. And yeah, it's got over the number, so there we go. Thanks for joining me on the Book of Jubilees. This has been a wild week, man. I mean, the people not putting their hand on the Bible and the oath of office and what have you. That was crazy, crazy. I'm going to let the people get into the room. There were almost 700 people that were wanting to read about the Book of Jubilees in the Jubilee year. And Trump blew those trumpets the other night. And it was just an announcement, and it was a new song. And it just really, I don't know, man. It was a lot going on in that week. And the 72 windows and things that were there and inside that rotunda and where the people levitate. But I don't know, man. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time there, and I want to keep on subject. I want to remind y'all that, one, I can't hear good at all, and I don't know a trumpet with ears, but this one doesn't have ears. This one doesn't work at all, and this one works about 20%, so I try my best, and it's hard for me to read and keep up with these comments, so I certainly do appreciate y'all's patience, and thank you very much. I'm going to flip over to this little thing, and we're going to jump right in to the Book of Jubilees. And let me touch that. And I'm going to touch that. And nope. I'm going to get right there. Jubilees chapter 2. There. I've got a couple of people that are texting me, and I hope that I'm doing okay. I've got my wife. She's moderating for me on here. And she does her best. And she's GG Six-Pack. If you have questions, she tries to help answer some of them. I want to tell you, first off, that this study guide for chapter 2 is on my bio page, and you can click on my link tree, and my link tree will take you to this study guide chapter 2, and you can print that off. Remember, you touch the top 3 dots and hit open in browser, and then it's able to print and download and all that stuff. Really informative document, but that's what we're going off of, and most people have downloaded this. It says thousands of people have downloaded it, and I hope that you've read this or had a chance to look at it. And the reason that I do this on Wednesdays is because I'm not going to be doing anything on the Sabbath, which is Saturday. I'm going to be studying, and I'm going to take me some food and stuff into the house, and I'm going to chill on Saturday, and we're going to start respecting the Sabbath, because you're going to find out that this chapter 2 is about the creation. And they talk about that like on the first little bit. And then the next thing that they start talking about is how God did that within the 7 days and rested on the 7 days and respected the Sabbath. And the Sabbath is just blown up all through this book. And it's the 7th day. It's the day that he rested. And rest is what I'm here about. If you toss and turn at night, if you wake up early in the morning and you need rest, he has that. You'll find that rest in him. All right. I want to read the Book of Jubilees 2, chapter 2. It is about the creation. And this is when it says in the Bible, let us create man in our own image. You're getting ready to find out what they mean right here. Understand that I'm going to be reading right there, and I'm going to read along with you, but I'm going to have to look down at my book. Moshe is given the complete history from creation, and the Malach of the present spoke to Moshe. Am I coming through okay? Is the volume, somebody give me a thumbs up and let me know that I'm talking good and coming clear. Like, I got some hearts going there. Everybody joined the live. Thank you so much. Let's go. Y'all would have probably already said, hey, awesome. All right, good. Yes. Thank you so much. I don't even know how y'all put the heart button that fast. Moshe is given the complete history from creation. And the Malach of the presence spoke to Moshe according to the word of Yahweh, saying, write the complete history of the creation, how in 6 days Yahweh Almighty finished all his works and all that he created, and kept Sabbath on the seventh day, and hallowed it for all ages, and appointed it as a sign for all his works. Bow! I told you, the first sentence, the first paragraph tells you, and how he created and kept Sabbath. Me and you are going to start keeping the Sabbath better. That's just the thing that we're going to do, and we're going to work towards it. We're not going to have to, hey, you got to do that right now. But we're going to, by the time we read this and go through these chapters, trust me and you are going to do a lot better job at respecting that. We have to. It says that. It's one of the 10 Commandments. For on the first day he created the heavens which are above the earth and the waters and all the spirits which serve before him, the Malach of the presence, the Malachim of sanctification, and the Malachim of the spirit of fire, and the Malachim of the spirit of winds, and the Malachim of the spirit of clouds, and of darkness, and of snow, and of hail, and of hoarfrost, and the Malachim of voices, and of the thunder, and of the lightning, and the Malachim of the spirits of cold, and of heat, and of winter, and of spring, and of autumn, and of summer, and of all the spirits of his creatures, which are in the heavens and on the earth. He created the abyss and the darkness, eventide and night, and the light, dawn and day, which he was prepared or has prepared in the knowledge of his heart. Whack! Listen, that's the us. And that Malachim of the presence, that first one right there, you're going to find out that's Jesus Christ. The table of the presence is where you present the showbread. He said, I am the bread in the temple. That is the table of the presence, the Malachim of the presence. And you see that he's talked to two of these pretty predominantly. And some of these other are spirit of the clouds and darkness and stuff like that. They don't rate up there as high. You know, this... in the very beginning of this, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. I want you to know that the book of Jubilees reads parallel to the book of Genesis and Exodus through about Exodus 12 or so. I say it maybe farther into Exodus, but it reads parallel to it. It just puts more names and receipts there. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. You're getting ready to find out that this whole... thing about the waters and the next page is, oh my gosh. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. That's coming up. Let me turn this over. Keep this. Check right there. And I'm going to change pages with you. How'd I do? Right there. I wish that I could turn around and move my head out of the way like I do with my TikToks, because that would make it better, because I have a big head. Now I'm going to tell you, this first paragraph right here, I got a better shot of that. I do. Nope. Yep. That. I'm just going to have to stay with that. He starts talking to the water, and this is going to roll your head back. I did a sub-only video earlier this week, and I told them about the verse 4 and verse 5. He's talking to the water. When I took that Hebrew transcriber, I don't have my Bibles behind me. I just moved, so I had a new place. It transcribed, and it said his face was over the murmuring deep. And understand that the verse is, in the end, in the New Jerusalem, there is no more seas. Remember that. Before we even read that about the water, That one. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. I joined my thing, got my way. And then this one says, right. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. We're getting ready to read about the water, man. I mean, that's why I don't like water. I love the pool, but if it's deep, I'm not about it at all. I don't like swimming in nothing where I can't see my feet. I don't know about y'all. Hot dog. Hot dog. Hot dog. Hot dog. Patch old man. Oh, no. He's my little honey. He wants to slip behind Granddaddy. And thereupon we saw his works, and praised him, and lauded before him on account of all of his works. For 7 great works did he create on the first day. And that was those 7 Malachim that he's meant. And on the second day, he created the firmament in the midst of the waters. And the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went up above, and half of them went down below the firmament, in the midst over the face of the whole earth. And this was the only work Yahweh created on the second day. He's talking to these as though they are people. And on the third day, he commanded the water to pass from off the face of the whole earth into one place. And the dry land appeared. Number 6. And the waters did so as he commanded them. And they retired from off the face of the earth into one place outside of this firmament, and the dry land appeared. Whack. All right, so no matter what you want to think about is the firmament, put whatever shape of the earth that you decided that you want to follow down. And I sort of think this means the firmament is the air and things that breathe the air, and that the things that are outside of the firmament are things that would breathe something other than this air bubble that we're in that divided the waters from the waters. And so he's got the waters that he commanded them, and they disappeared off the face of the earth. And it says the beast will come out of the sea. So I'm like, okay. You find in here that it talking to the troubled abyss and the deep, and his face was over the waters, and it was over the darkness. And I mean, when you read these things in the other translations, like in Hebrew, and they're talking about the murmuring deep and the murmuring abyss and all that stuff, it's like it was an evil thing, and he put light above it, and he separated these things. And I don't know, though, when it separates the firmament in between the waters above and below, that's Genesis. I mean, like, whatever, verse 5. But he put the firmament in between the waters, and it separated it. I don't know. You see all these things go up, and they hit something, and it sure does look like they bounced off of something. You see these stars, and it looks like that somebody's shining something outside of some, sort of wobbles like it's got water, like it's looking through water. I don't know. I do know that Elon Musk named his son X or XI or AI, something like that. It's the 5th element. And they removed it from the chart of elements because it was, they couldn't prove that it existed. But it's like we have oxygen and whatever they breathe in space, whatever space air would be, I guess, would be like the 5th element. And that's what his son's name is AE or something. And then it's X, a couple of letters in that. Where was I? Yeah. He does. Little Hitler thing. He got a rocket named the Dragon with 7, it carries 7 people on it. So, hello, Mr. Musk. You know, the Bible says don't go too far right and don't go too far left, and I'm not going to go either way. I'm going to keep my eyes right here on the Jubilee year. Me and you are going to read the Jubilee book. And on that day, he created for them all the seas according to their separate gathering places, and all the rivers, and all the gatherings of the water in the mountains and on the earth, and all the lakes, and all the dew of the earth, and the seeds which is sown, and all sprouting things, and fruit-bearing trees, and trees of wood, and the garden of Eden, in Eden, and all, these 4 great works Yahweh created on the 3rd day. Okay, pretty easy. And on the 4th day he created the sun and the moon and the stars, and set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon all the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and divide the light from the darkness. There's more into that divide the light from the darkness than meets the eye. I don't think he's like a little light and it's light over there, dark over there. I think that means darkness as in everything bad, and he is everything good. Everything is good. And Yahweh appointed the sun to be a great sign in the earth for those days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for Jubilees, and for all seasons of years. The Jubilee is every 50 years. The Leviticus, I can't think of it, 2018 or something like that. It says, blow the trumpet for the Jubilee year. And blow the trumpet for the Jubilee year, and announced that all of the slaves should be released and all of your debts should be forgiven and all of these things. And it's the Jubilee year. And I mean, if you don't feel something going down, it's going down. There's something going down. And there's going to be a darkness and there's going to be a light. I want to say thank you for all of the gifts and all of the things y'all give me. I tell you what, I had such a good time last time that I spent all week studying and putting these things together and making these little charts. It's so easy, though, because it's such great and easy content to read. It's super easy to make this stuff exciting, especially when God is talking to the water and we're able to read a book that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They found as many copies of this, or more copies of this, than the book of Genesis and Exodus. The book of Jubilees was there, and the church had to cover it up. I'm going to tell you one thing. They covered it up pretty good, and sent boy down to Ethiopia to pick up some copies of that and the book of Enoch. He was a descendant of one of the knights. And he had a part about where Jacob was told not to build this place. And it's in here, it says, do not build this place, this permanent temple. The exact place that Jesus said, tear this place down. And they changed that. And they made it read so that it sounded exactly like how Jacob stacked the pillars. And when the book of Jubilees was found, they had to alter it. So if you ask AI, go do this. You got AI, go ask it about Jacob being told not to build the temple, and it will answer the question in the old interpretation that was done in like 1939, a couple of years before the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. And then when you say, yo, put it in the Dead Sea Scrolls interpretation that's been verified by the scrolls, and then they start, yeah, okay, now we're talking. You know what? Chat GPT, that's like the internet. I think it's going to be like King Solomon, knows a whole bunch. He's only smarter than the kings of the East, which is no big deal to me. And but his 2 sons showed everybody the kingdom, and his 2 little chat GPT and AI and all that, they showing me. I can ask it. Of course, you have to back up everything that you ask it, but it'll tell you where to go search. I can tell you that. And then you got to back it up and go, okay. And it makes mistakes all the time. But it is going to release a lot of the things about the kingdom, and I'm going to back them up and verify them, and I am going to rend the kingdom from their hands with their own word. I'm not going to rend the kingdom. God's going to rend the kingdom out of it. I'm just going to read the books that are found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I'm going to show you where it's in writing and where they've hidden that from us for years. Years. I can't stand it when somebody does that. You turn around and hide a book. The church is going to hide a book from me. Did I read that last line? And it divides the light from the darkness. I sure did. Let me click this next page. Bam. This is Adam and Eve. Creating them. I'll keep my head right here in front of this Genesis verse right here. But this is the part in the book of Genesis right here is where I said, let us create man in our own image. That's Malcolm. And on the fifth day, we're right here at the top. And on the fifth day, he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters. For these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hands. The fish and everything that moves in the waters and everything that flies, the birds and all their kind. Okay, in the New Jerusalem, there is no more seas. And everybody knows that the sea and the waters are, what? What does it say? And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And he will, bam, that's what the water is. And that's because in the New Jerusalem, this is the end of Revelation right here. When you're reading this part of this is chapter 21, I think chapter 22 is the last one, and this is it. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Water, I don't know, I like water, but let's get on to that. Am I right there? I went right back to the right place. Hot diggity dog. I'm going to get so good at this. And I don't care if they flip this off. Y'all go log into my link tree. I'll send out a Zoom call link. I can put over 1,000 people in a Zoom call. And I'll just sit there and talk to you on the phone. That ain't breaking my heart. Not one little bit. And the sun rose over them to prosper them and above everything that was on the earth, everything that shoots out of the earth, all fruit-bearing trees and all flesh. These three kinds he created on the fifth day. Hey, don't let me skip over that sea monster part. And on the fifth day, he created great sea monsters. The beast is coming out of the sea. Okay. That's the Leviathan, and then he cut this thing up and all. This is, okay. And the sun rose over them to prosper them, and above everything that was on the earth, everything that shoots out of the earth, and all the fruit-bearing trees, and all the flesh. These three kinds he created on the fifth day. That's called Vuja Day, when you know you just read that. I mean, Deja Vuja Day. That's the feeling that it never happened before. And on the sixth day, he created all the animals of the earth, and all cattle, and everything that moves on the earth. 14. And after all this, he created man, a man and a woman. He created them, and gave him dominion over all that is upon the earth, and in the seas, and over everything that flies, and over every beast, and over every cattle, and over everything that moves on the earth, and over the whole earth, and over all this he gave him dominion. Bear with me, and one of the things that I'm just trying to point out here, this reads just like Genesis, and for us to have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there is no reason why we should not have Genesis, Exodus, and then Jubilees as a confirmation. It's a redundancy. I mean, you'll see this is the same book. It's just got a little bit more receipts in it. And wow, he gave dominion. 15. And these four kinds he created on the sixth day. So those things right there. And he finished all his work on the sixth day, all that is in the heavens and on the earth and in the seas and in the abysses and in the light and in the darkness and in everything. Did it right there. I'm going to read the Genesis part in just a minute. And he gave us a great sign, the Sabbath day, that we should work 6 days, but keep Sabbath on the seventh day from all work. and all the malachim of the presence and all the malachim of the sanctification, these two great classes, he has bidden us to keep the Sabbath with him in heaven and on earth. All right, listen. This whole next page is about the Sabbath. It is about keeping the Sabbath and how the angels in heaven were amazed that he actually pulled this off in 6 days and still kept the Sabbath. And he says, we kept the Sabbath before. We can't believe that he did this. That's a cool book, man. I mean, this is a cool book. It's a great read. If it had something, I've already read it all the way through, and if it had something where it was like, hey, and I want you to go build a big old snake and shake it in the air or something like that, I would not have even started a whole series to start leading y'all down the road of, well, I don't understand that. There's a lot of things that we don't understand. And one of them is that creation page right there about the earth. We'll get into talk about that and all that stuff, but there's a lot of things that we don't understand about that. If you think you know what shape this earth is, I assure you that you don't. You've never backed up and looked at it. I know you haven't. And we have a lot of things that can prove one thing or the other, but you can't explain to me how to make a blade of grass. You can't tell me what that gooey crap is inside of an acorn. We don't even know anybody that knows how to make an acorn. And we're going to try to tell them how the whole machine works and how this big earth is how it's shaped. I tell you what you ought to do is figure out what the shape of a realm is, because that's what he's created here. All right? Let's go to this next page. And this page, I'm going to read it and just burn it right through this and go. I just want you to tell you that this is Sabbath day, Sabbath day, Sabbath day. That Saturday, Constantine changed the Sabbath from Saturday to the venerable day of sun. And they changed it in the Ten Commandments that the Roman Catholic Church, they say the day of the Lord. And they took the Sabbath word, sort of worded it. And the Roman Catholic Church operates with the Sabbath being a Sunday. I can go read the history books. They wrote it down in all the Roman documents. It was Saturday, and Constantine changed it in 320 something. So I'm not saying drop and, start doing these certain things. And Jesus released us of a lot of these things. He took the burden for that and released us from some of these things. Sacrifices and things like that. He said the great commandment is to love thy Father in heaven above with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. And he said the second commandment is like unto it. He said to love thy neighbor as thyself. And he said upon those two commandments hang all the law and all the prophets. So if you love God and you love your neighbor, you don't have to like your neighbor. I don't particularly have to like him. I'm sure he didn't like a bunch of people, Judas and Pontius Pilate and all that stuff, but you love them because they're necessary. They're doing something to aggravate you. They're training you to not be aggravated by them people. I wish I knew that when I was younger, but I didn't. I'm going to read right here, chapter 19. Thank you so much for so many of y'all. Y'all have, I'll look at the questions for 2 seconds and a half. There's Gigi. She is the new title. That's my wife. Gigi six-pack right there. That's my wife. And she's the bomb. I love you too. Supports me and all my crazy stuff. Yep. 19. I can do this. I can do it. I can do it. Hang on, I want to look at something real quick. What you do? Yeah. This thing right here, this picture of this flat earth and this firmament over it, this almost just like parallels what the book of Job says, pillars, and it says this firmament and all this stuff. And I don't prefer that over anything. I don't prefer this over anything. I sort of feel like I know enough to win a lot of both sides of those arguments. I ain't never figured out how I could gain 1 minute in the kingdom knowing what the shape of the earth is. I can tell you that. I could care less. It really is a mute argument to me. If you got to know that, then we ought to pick up an acorn. I wish I had one. And just go figure that out. I mean, you can see that. Hold it right there in front of you and see if you can figure out what that little stuff is inside of it and how it's going to turn into an oak tree. You figure that out, and then I'll start listening to you tell me how this whole machine works. And he said to us, behold, I will separate unto myself a people from among all peoples, and these shall keep the Sabbath day. And I will sanctify them unto myself as my people, and I will bless them, and I will have sanctified the Sabbath day, and do sanctify it unto myself. Even so will I bless them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their sovereign ruler. And I have chosen the seed of Jacob, and from amongst all that I have seen, and have written him down as my firstborn son, and have sanctified him unto myself forever. And I will teach them the Sabbath day, that they may keep Sabbath thereon for all work. And thus he created thereon a sign in accordance with which they should keep the Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink and to bless him, who was created all things, as he hath blessed and sanctified unto himself a particular people above all people, a peculiar people above all peoples, and that they should keep Sabbath together with us. I'm telling you that he starts talking about the Gentiles later in the book, and you are, I don't know, if you're not a Jew, you're a Gentile. So that's how that works. And they were all Jews, Hebrew back then, and anybody that wasn't in that club was a Gentile. So I am. And it talks about, hey, we're going to the Gentiles. Thank you so much for everybody being in here. There were 22 heads of mankind from Adam to Jacob. I think there's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, if I'm correct. And that I think it says also 2. And 22 kinds were made unto the seventh day. Okay, so he made 22 like kinds of animals. I believe there's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. It gets pretty deep. This is blessed and kodished, and the former also is blessed and kodished. And this one serves with that one for sanctification and blessing. And to this Jacob as in seed, it was granted that they should always be blessed and kodished ones of the first testimony and Torah, even as he had sanctified and blessed the Sabbath day on the seventh day. He created heaven and earth and everything that he created in 6 days. And Yahweh made the seventh day Kodesh for all his works. Therefore he commanded on its behalf that whosoever does any work thereon shall die, and that he who defies it shall surely die. Let me tell you something. I read this now, and I don't let that discourage me. Because I'm trying to find out the exact right answers and trying to steer in the exact right direction. But these people had no direction. They didn't know one way or the other, and you're talking about trying to herd wild buffalo, and a lot of times that takes a stick of correction that sounds pretty loud. So I need y'all to keep that in mind of who he was talking to. These are the beginnings of the world. And these were people that saying this is right and this is wrong. And, well, we can go spare the rod and spoil the child all the way down to meal, can't we? Wherefore do you command the children of Israel to observe this day, that they may keep it kodesh, and do not do thereon any work, and do not defile it, as it is more kodesh than all other days. Hey, I'm going to go get me a loaf of bread from the farmer's market on Friday and before the Sabbath, and I'm going to get some wine, and I am going to drink a little bit of wine, and I'm going to eat some bread, and I'm going to do what Jesus told me to do, and I'm going to read my next study guide and prepare for my class, and I'm going to rest in Him. And I tell you what, man, I bet you do that on Saturday. I bet you sleep like a baby Saturday night. Okay. Where do you command it? And whosoever profanes it shall surely die. I hate that part. And whoever does thereon any work shall surely die eternally, that the children of Israel may observe this day throughout their generations, and not be rooted out of the land. For it is a kodesh day and blessed day. And Jesus comes in and tells you that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So, I mean, this is trying to keep him into correction. And God made such a big deal out of the Sabbath day and resting on the Sabbath day. And you know what? I'm going to do that with him. I'm not trying to convince every one of y'all to go get any type of food or whatever, man. But they would gather what they were going to eat on that next day, so that they didn't have to worry about that. And they went and got the things to drink, so they didn't have to worry not to draw water. It was so... Have you ever taken a test and been so prepared for it that you were just happy? And you were just happy. Your car was full of gas. You knew right where you were going. You studied and you just knew you were going to kill it. Well, that's what He wants the Sabbath to be. He wants you to take, and study on that day. He wants you to be comfortable. He doesn't want you to have to worry about ordering food. He doesn't want you to have to worry about going down the street and getting something or making a meal or taking your mind off of your work. Because this is the day that you should be focusing on Him. And go do all the things that are not work related so that you can focus on Him. And, if we're trying to make this, and we don't know what day it is. Saturday could be, daggone last Tuesday, as far as we know with the Julian calendar, whatever calendar we're dealing with. The Jubilee calendar would be right. So if your Sabbath is, on Wednesday, we're discombobulated. I would, get you a day, give it to Him, okay? I'm doing this on Wednesday so that I don't do that. But He taught and He preached on the Sabbath. He read the Isaiah scroll, and I sure will come on live and read. I'd love to read that. I tell you what, He read the Isaiah scroll, and if you really want to know, He changed one of the words in the Isaiah chapter 61 when He reads it in the book of Luke. He says, instead of saying open in the prison, He says He's going to open the eyes of the blind. And it was because the people in the audience had no idea what He was even reading. And the first chapter of Isaiah, okay, it's a warning to Jerusalem and Judah. And if you know how Jerusalem and Judah are laid out, they're in the same city, and that dividing line goes between the temple and Mount Zion. Okay. Let me see. I love all this, and thank you so much for all of you people. We're getting down to being near the last page. But I want to go back and start talking about some of these other things, about where the water is told to get off of the face of the earth, and how it's even collected into little pools, into mountains and streams and lakes. And it's the water. And in the New Jerusalem, there is no more sea. And there's an angel of hail frost. Man, that's a bunch of water. Malachim of the wind, Malachim of the clouds and darkness, snow, hail, hoarfrost, right? Malachim of the voices of thunder and lightning, spirits of the cold and heat. That's pretty heavy. But that's who that is. That's Jesus Christ, Melchizedek. He was no father, no mother from the beginning. No beginning of days. There. I love it. Declare and say to the children of Israel, the Torah of this day. Oh, Melchizedek, man. All right, so this guy, he comes out and he gives Abraham bread and wine. You got to do the bread and wine thing, I'm telling you, because that was why the Moabites got in such hot water. Ruth was a Moabite, David's great-grandmother and all that stuff. But they didn't come out in the way when they were coming out of Egypt and give them bread and wine to, like, help them. So the bread and the wine thing is super big deal about Melchizedek. So Melchizedek, and Jesus is a priest in the order of Melchizedek. And when it reads about Melchizedek in, I forget what chapter it is, in the book of Jubilees, it doesn't call him Melchizedek. It calls him the Torah. And that means the word. That hit him. That's the one. That's the name. That's who Melchizedek is the word. For the word was God, and God was the word. Jesus was God. He told Satan, thou shalt not tempt, whack, bam, the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So that's the one shouldn't be playing with. And that explains a lot of things, man. He came down here as a Jew so that he could tell them, hey, look, man, I'm one of you dudes, and y'all are just rocking the boat bad. And you're not doing it right. And in Matthew 24, he says, who do you think the Messiah is? And they said, the son of David. And I mean, I would have... How do you keep a straight face with that? He did a great job. Did a great job. And says, starts commenting on David. Declare and say to the children of Israel, the Torah of this day, both that they should keep Sabbath thereon, that they should not forsake it, in the error of their hearts, that it is not lawful to do any work thereon, which is unseemly to do thereon, their own pleasure, and that they should not prepare thereon anything to be eaten or drunk, that it is not lawful to draw water, or to bring in or take out thereon through their gates any burden, which they had not prepared for themselves on the sixth day in their dwelling. It just says, go make you a sandwich. Guy told me how to pass a test, and he just said, go fill your car up with gas, know where you're going, make you a lunch, don't eat the hot dog during the lunchtime, eat your prepared meal, blah, 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 blah. Man, I aced that contractor's test. Aced it. And then I went back and got my mechanical contractor test and my roofing contractors and all that stuff because I knew how to prepare myself. And now this is the book that I'm going to study. This is the test I'm going to give myself, because this is the gun that I'm going to cock whenever we get in trouble. You hear people putting bullets in a clip. I'm going to be loading my magazine with this right here. That's all it's going to help. You sit there and think you're going to... My brother's got one of them 50 caliber things, man. I was like, what you going to shoot that at? They shall not bring in or take out from their house to house on that day. For that day is more kodesh and blessed than any Jubilee day of the Jubilees. And on this we kept Sabbath in the heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath there on earth. Let me read that, kid. And they shall not bring in or take out from their house on that day. For that day is more kodesh and blessed than any Jubilee day of the Jubilees. On this day, we kept Sabbath in the heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath there on earth. Those last 2 pages have been nothing but about keeping the Sabbath and how he did this, and it's the Sabbath. And, this study guide that's right here over my head, it talks about, hey, did you worship the Sabbath? It's like 3 verses in the Bible. It's like Genesis 6:4 describing the fallen angels and the deception of mankind by the fallen angels in like 3 verses. Okay? That's what Enoch 1 is Genesis 6:4 on steroids. And the creator of all things blessed it, and he did not sanctify all people and nations to keep Sabbath thereon, but Israel alone. Them alone he permitted to eat, drink, and to keep Sabbath thereon on the earth. I guess if you want to read that as you can walk off from it, you can walk off from it. But I can tell you what, Jesus Christ, which is what I'm here to tell you about, he kept the Sabbath, and he honored the Sabbath, and he taught them about the Sabbath, and he came back to tell them how they had gotten it wrong, how they were even counting the days wrong, and how we went away from counting. We were using a Jubilee calendar that counted when the sun came up over the edge. Like, that's the hardest thing in the world to do. 1, 2, 3. Not we. Those people, the Babylonians, decided we will use the moon and we'll count when the moon gets dead full, boom, and then we'll just make everything. The book of Jubilees tells you that they were going to do that. They were going to lose 10 days, and surely they did exactly that. The Babylonian calendar, 354 days, and then somehow they decided to mix that in with the Roman calendar, and it's a mess. People say nobody knows the day or the hour of this when Jesus is going to return. I assure you, you won't. You don't know what day or hour it is right now. You don't know what day it is. You don't know what year it is. I know. You think you do at 2025, but the calendar will tell you from 0 AD to BC, there's about a 3-year wobble right there. They ain't got to figure it out. And the Creator, right here, and the Creator of all things blessed this day, which he had created for blessing and making it Kodesh and the splendor above all days. This Torah and testimony was given to the children of Israel as a Torah forever until their generations. That's when it speaks about Melchizedek right there, is it is a Torah and Kodesh forever. Forever and ever and ever. Now, y'all think I'm finished. But this gets down to the study guide right here. And the first little piece of it, I'm going to use my Bible. I love this Bible. It's a Thompson's Chain Reference Bible. It is this one. This thing took me down chain reference means rabbit hole. So if you find a word and it says the light or the darkness or something like that, it'll connect it to all the other verses, and it has a chain reference up and down through the Bible, literally off the chain, no pun intended. But the first part of this Bible is the Bible, and then all of this is just reference material and maps, and I'm a map lover. So that's that. So I'm going to answer these questions using this Thompson's Chain Reference Bible. It is a King James Version Bible, and no, King James did not write the Bible. But before we go away, I want to look and just see if y'all understood what was happening. If y'all have any questions about that, I appreciate the deflection. My wife's trying to help me. A lot of this stuff is basically reading as Genesis does. It's just more detailed. That first question right there, it just says that, read Jubilees 2 and Genesis 1 through 2 and compare the creation accounts, noting the similarities. I note the similarities. I note that the King James Bible tells the exact same story. And it's let us make man in our own image. My dad is a Pentecostal preacher, and hey, I hope you feeling okay. He has been in the hospital, and My wife is there with him right now, and I hope he's okay. He's a Pentecostal preacher, and he's the one that even let me hold his Bible, and then I had to buy me one of these right here. But I love you to death. Thank you so much. He helps me so much in every one of my ways. Great influence on me. With Jubilees 1 and Genesis 1 and 2, you know, he told me, don't you think the devil would know the Bible the best? Man, that just blew me away. I was like, yeah, he's been here like the longest. You know, the book of Job, I think that Job is one of the oldest books of the Bible because it says that God was there and the other sons of God were there, probably Malachim right here, and Satan was there among them. I'm like, okay, well, when did that happen? Because you've got that book on in here. Satan was walking around the earth. It says I was walking to and fro in it. So, I mean, Satan's in the earth, walking around to and fro in it. Sure is. Question number 2, right there. I might have a better zoom in on that. Ooh, I did it. Hot dog. See, I keep trying to move my head. It won't work. It's a big head. Jubilees 2 and comparing it to Generations 1 and 2. That is awesome. So very blessed by you two. Thank you so much. Thank you, Caroline. I love all of y'all. I certainly do. And we just moved into a new house. And not a new house, renting a house. It's a house. And it's new to me. Got a big shower. Get to pray in the shower. Chow, bow. Oh, they're cool. Analyze how Jubilees emphasizes the Sabbath and compares it with Genesis 2, 1 through 3, and Exodus 20, 8 through 11. All right. So we just saw how they went over the edge, all right, on the Sabbath. Just page after page, and how, wow, he did the Sabbath and all that stuff. Let me read you this big Sabbath blowout here on Genesis chapter 2, 1 through 3. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all of his work, which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all of his work, which God created and made. It's done. It's over with the Sabbath part and the discussion. That's as short and abrupt as Genesis 6:4, when the giants formed from mating with the women of earth. Jeez. I mean, Exodus 20. This is the 10 Commandments. It's Exodus 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. That's one of the 10 Commandments, so I'm glad I got that in there. But you read Exodus 20, verse 25, and it says, thou shalt not make an altar if that of stone. Thou shalt not build it of hewn stone, for if thou lift up a tool upon it, thou hast polluted it. Okay, so the Pope has a smooth altar. This is right here, like 10 verses after the 10th commandment of keep the Sabbath. So it could be like a total commandment. It's in the same chapter. Neither shall thou go up steps to mine altar. No kidding. The next time you walk into a church and you see an altar over there, just check, see if it's got a couple steps going up to it, and then go, wackadoo. I don't get it. And then that be smooth. I guarantee you ain't never going to see no rough rock altar. Walk into any church, St. Peter's Basilica, smoothest altar. I mean, you could make a candy on that thing. Mm-hmm. Examine the roles of angels, and that was my comparing them right there. In the Bible, I love this is a great explanation, and I love information, and I'm not seeing anything in the book of Jubilees that is anything more than more information. And 2 Timothy says all scripture is good for teaching and rebuking. So we can teach against it, we can rebuke it, and we can also teach with it. I like the extra information that flows in there. And I thank you so much for all of your support. I really would like to merge into this full time, and we're talking with some amazing people right now. I would love to be able to take all of my maps and all of my Bibles and spread them out into a place where y'all could look at them while I talk and while I teach these lessons and have that as more of an interactive thing. And if I had my way, that's what's going to happen this year. I'm just looking for that big place to spread all that out. I have hundreds of Bibles and some big ones too. Study how Jubilees 2, 4 through 6, and Genesis 1, 6 through 8 describe the firmament and structured order of creation, revealing God's design. I got to put that puzzle over there. Okay. So I slid my little piece of puzzle over so that it kept me going. Thank you so much for staying with me. Whenever you study those things, how the firmament was designed, it says that the firmament divides the water from above the waters to below the waters. He starts talking to the water. Hello. That's pretty hard right there. Right there. Right there. And the waters did so as he commanded them, and they retired from off the face of the earth into one place outside of this firmament. And the dry land appeared. Right there. No, I don't know how the firmament's shaped. No, I do not know how you get outside of it. If the firmament divided the waters, then let's just say it's an air bubble. And if the waters went outside of the firmament, maybe the things that are in the water are outside of the firmament. Maybe that's why we're not supposed to be in there. Limited to there, limited to going outside of the space into firmament. I do not know what the fifth element is. It is tablets, the letters A and E put together. Aether. It's ether, but it starts with an A, aether. And that's the fifth element. It's what's in space, what you would breathe in space. That's the name of Elon Musk's son, like seventh son or something like that. Seventh son. Louise. Also, right up above that in 5, let's see if that was it. And on the third day he commanded the waters to pass off the face of the earth, the whole earth, into one place, and the dry land to appear. Okay, so before the flood of Noah, the waters, which are peoples and tongues and nations, because it says each one. And he saith unto me, the waters are which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So that happened. And in the New Jerusalem, there's no more sea. So, what's in the water? What is in the water? The beast, it comes out of the water. The beast has 7 heads. The dragon. Elon Musk has a spaceship called the Dragon. Carries 7 people. It's becoming clearer. And at the last trump, the trumpet shall sound. What does it say? I wrote this down so I could do that last TikTok right there. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Wee! I think it says we do not all sleep right before that, and I do know that a couple places in the Bible that it was talking about that, why do you disturb me from my sleep? Let me get to the last page of this. Jubilees, the firmament, structured order to create. Okay. Reflect on the purpose of creation in both texts, using Colossians 1:6, and discuss how it shapes our faith and God's work. In our Bible, I really love the fact that it talks about Nehemiah and Psalms. I was right there, and I want to talk about it because a couple of these verses it says that even though thou art Lord alone, thou hast made heaven, the heavens of heavens. The heavens of heaven with all their host, the earth and all the things that are therein, the seas and all that is therein, and all that preserveth them all, and the host of heaven worshipeth thee. There's the host of heaven, these Malachim that are right here on this first page. That's a pretty steep little thing to go through. The Malachim of the presence. There's a place for every one of these. You get people that tell you how this earth is built. They can't tell you in the book of Job. It says, how's the wind blow? Do you know how the wind blows? Do you know how the seas are controlled? Do you know how the spouts of the water and the gates of the earth, how they're opened? And I mean, he told Job, he said, speaketh thou now, gird up thy loins as a man and answer me. Now answer me. And he didn't have nothing for him, man. He told him, he said, you ain't ever backed up and looked at this thing. Who's put a tape among it? Who's stretched the line among it? And I'm like going, I hadn't. You know, I had a bunch of astronauts fly up to the moon, which if anybody thinks that tin can floated up into outer space and landed on the moon, and then for them to, I guess they left the cameraman to shoot the whole thing when it took off of the moon, and it sent that picture back to Earth, and man, they were talking on the phone to the astronauts, and it's just, okay, hot dog. That didn't happen. They were racing the Russians, man. Hollywood beat the Russians. They sure did. They sure did. I love y'all. Let's look at some of these comments. You know, last time I went through my Bible, that Thompson's Chain Reference Bible, I flipped it, and I actually wanted to do that as a little extra. I wanted to tell y'all this time a little story about me. And I'll tell you, the first one, I got told to do a TikTok. I was literally walking down the hall of my house, and it was a house that I drew when I was a senior in high school. It was a big old colonial Victorian house, and I drew it as a senior in high school, and I got the honor to build that when I was 30 years old, and I lived there for 20-something years in a big old white Gone with the Wind looking thing. I was walking down the hall of that, and the Lord told me to do a TikTok. I'm 60. I walk out on the back porch and I asked my 25-year-old son, AJ, I said, would you help me? You know anything about TikTok? He said, I do. And I said, would you set it up on my phone for me? And he said, I sure will. And he set it up, and I put some Bible timeline old one on there. I come back, it had like 1,500 hits on it. I said, is that good? He just looked at me and goes, what on earth did you put on there? And it started from there. So when they said that they were going to take TikTok off, I knew who told me to make a TikTok. I knew that they did take it off. Tell me what to do again. But he told me not to worry about that. Not to worry about that. And I didn't. And I woke up and I read the Bible on the day they shut it off. And you should have never shut TikTok off that day. Because I read something in the Bible that's going to start a different lesson. And it's going to be a different one than the book of Jubilees. And I'm going to educate the people. Doggone it. It's just such a thing. I can't say it in a short verse. I can't do it in a 3-minute TikTok. I'm going to have to build some facts. I got to put some study charts together. I got to be able to connect these dots for you. so that you can see what happened. Because I see it. I see it clear as a bell. I know what they did. I know what they did. I know when they rewrote the book of Jubilees. I know when they took that part out about don't build this place. I know where he made the mistake. I know that he stacked up a stone pillar, and this is the only thing that God said he hates. Jacob did it over and over. I love y'all, and I am going to build another study guide. I've already got the basis of it for chapter 3. But Jubilees is where we're going to go every week, and on Wednesdays I'm going to go. But y'all look for another class, and if they end up to where they're going to get rid of TikTok or do anything, I don't even know if I need to wait for that. These classes need to be in a Zoom call. They need to be where y'all can download and get the papers and the things. I was on some pretty complicated Zoom calls, and I just think they fit this thing so interactive and so much better. And I really want this experience to be very interactive, where I can communicate with y'all, and I can have people that can feed you these documents, and I can mark them up. And I'm going to get better and better at this every week. We're going to do it every Wednesday. Now, go out on Thursday or Friday, get you something to eat. Make you a sandwich, man. But do something so that you don't got to do that on Saturday or your day off or when your Sabbath. And the day before your Sabbath, make you a sandwich, make your stuff, make your things so that you don't have to worry yourself with that. So that you don't have to burden yourself to make a sandwich or to go do your thing. And enjoy yourself and print your study guide out and or get your Bible. Just say, I'm going to read the book of something. I tell you what, if I had to pick up a book of the Bible and read, you know, Jesus gave the Sermon on the Mount. You can read the Sermon on the Mount. That's really cool. It's what he came to say. And he got an audience and he said it. But the first thing that he ever said on the Sabbath was in a church, and it was Isaiah 61. And he said he came to open the eyes of the blind in the very first, part of 61. Go back and read Isaiah 1. It was the longest scroll that they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's the whole exhibit is the Isaiah scroll. And it is, it's just amazing. I can only recommend that you just start on Isaiah 1 and read the warning to Jerusalem and what's going to happen. And know that you can see that right now. It says that there are other people in your country ruining it. It's like the 5th or 6th verse. And those people are there ruining Jerusalem. It looks like a trash pit. That's where God lives. I tell you what, if I was responsible for the mountain of God and keeping up with it, why does it look like that? Is that where your God lives, Mr. Jerusalem? Why isn't everybody free to go there? Why isn't everybody free to walk in and out that door? I don't care. God is open. He is right here. When 2 or more gather in the name of the Lord, there he is in their midst. Just know that, man. When you're talking to one of your friends and y'all say something, just imagine that Jesus, he's there. He appreciates you saying that. When you ask him in the morning, you ask him what you can do for him. You do that for me. I love you. I'm going to make a great study guide. I am going to come on and try to do more live interactive things with my support group and those people that are my subscribers. It just gives me so much. I just love to work and to spread this word. It's so amazing. And the thing that I can't wait to go over David with y'all. Y'all are going to freak out when you read the Babylonian, and not that I think anything about the Babylonian Talmud, but it's just what the Daniel and the Jewish people that wrote when they came out of Babylon. Daniel writes the book of Daniel, and these other people tell the stories of the Babylonian Talmud. And, I weigh them with a grain of salt. But, yeah, those people are, they've been hiding things, man. They've been covering things up. It's for sure they've been covering things up. If you don't think that those people haven't been covering things up, I tell you what, man, like even the Pope. One, you got dragons all over the place, bro. What's up with that? Big old hymn. Everybody tried to touch Jesus's hymn. I don't even know if he had a hymn, man. And now he's got a big old hymn. Big old train so that people can touch it and all that stuff. Who do you think you are? Tell you what they did. They walked upstairs to an altar with that long train so that when they got up the stairs to the altar, they looked taller than everybody. So that was what that big train was to make you, when you walked up the staircase, was to make you look like you were super tall. At the Pope. Anyway, I'm not going to bust on him because I could just go to Texas with that. Chapter 3 is going to be next week. I love you so much. I'm going to start interjecting this next thing, putting it together. And we're going to start finding out all about 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings. Ooh-wee. Whenever they took over Mount Zion, when David built a palace on top of the mountain of God and made the altar of God on Moriah the footstool, his footstool. Busting you out for that, bro. I'm going to bust you out for that. I'm going to bust you out for you said you were going to build a temple and you built it on Moriah. Okay. Got you. I love you so much. I'm going to try to figure out how to shut this thing off. I don't even know how to do that. Put my glasses on. Y'all are the best. Love you.